I know I'm going to get to all the questions, but I want to ask you all a question. I think we should take like maybe a 5-minute break. But before we do, we got a lot. We still got branding to cover, and then we got David. Then I have my incredible announcement that you have to be present to hear my incredible announcement, and you're all going to go bananas over this. And I've heard so many rumors already. It's been absolutely fantastic. Everything from, oh my God, is he selling his company, to is he getting a divorce? I'm like, getting a divorce? Selling my company? No, I'm doing something for you, and it's FREE free, but you got to stay on to the very end to see if you qualify. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. I believe, as you know, that there's going to be two kinds of agents in 2024. People that are challenged to do more, create the structure to do more, get the exposure to do more, create the accountability to do more, and people that struggle. People that struggle. And there's just going to be no ifs, ands, or buts. In an environment like this where there is so much change, so much uncertainty, it's the reason why, for me, Dr. Julie Gerner, it's the reason why for me, Teresa Jabor, it's the reason why for me, I have so many people that I rely on, I turn to and say, I need guidance, I need a push, I need some extra effort. I'm at 70%, I need to get to 30%. What I'm going to challenge you on is simply this. If you are not interested in success, you are committed to success. I am going to challenge you today. Matter of fact, Hector, put up my little, just a little banner thing. I want you all to write down a phone number. Write down this number, 1-800-624-9575. Again, the chat is closed. Oh, thank you, Hector. 1-800-624-9575. I'm going to give you basically 5 minutes. And here's what I'm going to ask you. If you are committed to your success this year, if you know that if you had myself and one of my expert guides in your corner, challenging you, working with you, holding you accountable, nurturing you through the hard times, getting you to row your face off and do the things above and beyond your comfort zone, someone to bounce all the ideas off, someone to give you the ideas you need, someone to be the resource. If you know you need that, when you call my office, all you're going to say is, hey, I'm committed. I'm committed. And my team of consultants, and if the phones are already busy, you just got to be patient. You got to just call back, because I have like 15 consultants and there's thousands of you out here. So you call that number. I'm going to give you, again, 5 minutes. Call that number, say, I'm committed. I want to know what is like the insane offer. We have a very delicious offer, a very insane offer for a select few of you that would like to become one of our coaching clients, that you want guardrails, you want support, you want to save time, to save money, to not make bad choices, to make more money. And if you're up for that, you call my office, you say, hey, I'm committed. What's the insane offer? You schedule your appointment, you get yourself in the queue. So we're going to take 5 minutes, but what I'm going to do is, Hector, leave that up, go to the Q&A, and I'm going to answer just for like 3 minutes because I've already been talking for 2. Call my office and then pull up the Q&A, and I'm going to make sure I answer a few of those questions, right? So let me just look real fast here. Let me look. Are you using apps in ChatGPT to get that ad? So I think what he was referring to is he's taking ads and he's dropping them into ChatGPT and saying, reimagine this for selling homes. Reimagine this for being a real estate agent. Very, very smart. Very, very smart. How did you upload the marketing advertisement into ChatGPT? If you're a paid subscriber of ChatGPT, you're going to see a little loop at the very bottom left corner. And that is, it looks like a staple or a paper clip is probably a better way to describe it. And that's where, when you're a paid subscriber of ChatGPT 4.5, you can actually drop that stuff in. And what's fascinating now is people are dropping in everything from data on housing to like, here's like 10 articles relating to real estate. Can you take and make a consensus of these 10 articles and write me a 6-paragraph blog? Like, there's just so much more you can do. So yes, ChatGPT. For my coaching clients, heads up, and I'm gonna say this to everybody as kind of a PSA before is Emily Terrell getting ready back there? Cool. All right. So we need to switch mics. So we'll do that in a sec. So everyone listen to me very carefully. PSA, do not put anything inside of ChatGPT that you don't want the world to have access to. Do you hear what I just said? Do not put anything inside ChatGPT that you do not want the world to have access to. All my clients know around September of last year, I launched Tom AI. Tom AI is a collaboration of all of our coaches and all of our clients. But what we did is we built a wall in between ChatGPT and Tom AI, meaning whatever we work on in Tom AI stays inside Tom AI and does not go back into ChatGPT, where everything you're doing inside ChatGPT is simply going to be available for everybody to have access to. So I say to you with caution, as you're creating new marketing campaigns, know that once you create it inside of ChatGPT, then other agents are going to have access to it because it's going to become part of the sort of, ChatGPT sphere of information. So just a little heads up. All right. So I'm just looking at all the questions. Yes. Yes, I can help you. Do your coaches specialize in people that have ADHD, literally diagnosed? What if I told you that is, I would say, I don't know, probably 60% of our clients. So the answer is yes. Are we going to properly diagnose you and say to you, here's the medication? No, we're not going to get involved in that, but we know how to work with you. We understand that part. So yes, I hope you call my office and have that conversation. So Jill Collins asked, can we use Tom AI for any of this? Jill, everything, 100%. And you're going to see if you're with us next week in Orlando that we are now we're going to add video. We're going to add, all the things that you do with ChatGPT from a standpoint of what Jason's talking about, video, text, photo, all coming soon, including audio. So you heard it here first. It's going to be very exciting. All right. I didn't catch the marketing site that Jimmy just said. So somebody text him and I'll make sure I get that answered, because I know I asked Crystal, hey, let's make sure we write that one down. So I'll get that. All right. So we've been going for a couple of minutes. I'm going to somehow gently switch my microphone. Okay. How good is this? He just handed me another microphone in case you're wondering if this is a live show, and this is working. All right. One of the presentations I am super excited about, we only got two more and I'm going to make the huge announcement, is my incredible coach, Emily, who is walking over here and grabbing, we're going to have to probably go ahead and add to the budget and get a second microphone. This is hysterical. I am a happily married man, and this woman is reaching down my jacket to grab. All right. All right. So hold on. This is, in case you're wondering if this is a live show. Wouldn't this be funny if this wasn't a live show and we just actually left this on? All right. And you can figure that out. All right. So I want you to write this down because it is a mega trend. And Hector, you're going to go ahead and get Emily's slides ready to go. One of the most important trends, and I actually said it in the very beginning, and I don't know if you caught it, which is, please write this down. It's many agents, possibly including you, have gotten lost in what I refer to as the sea of sameness. The sea of sameness. And what I mean by that is, when you look at the data around how consumers are selecting real estate professionals, how are they making their decisions? When you read the NAR reports, you see this sort of vague, hard to describe, 68% of sellers selected their agent based upon proximity. And the way we interpret that, and talking to the powers that be and reading through all of the reports, what it sounds like is whoever they spent the most time with, whoever they were closest to, whoever was, dare I say, popping up on this the most. And that, my friends, only speaks more to the truth of, we've gotten lost in a sea of sameness. How do we, please write this in your notes, create some differentiating factors between you and other agents in the marketplace? How do we create differentiating factors so it becomes apparent, it becomes obvious that even though Sally or Phil are my friends, and we know the average consumer knows between 11 and 21 real estate agents, that you at least are on the consideration set of every person you're talking to. And that is what Coach Emily is going to spend the next 20 minutes talking to you about before David Childers then talks to you about 25 minutes. I apologize. Before David Childers wraps it up with how's the market and the 5 most important slides you need to know. So, Coach Emily, are you ready?
I am.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my only in-house guest here in the studio who helped me take off my jacket a minute ago. You got your clicker right there. Perfect. Take it away, my friend.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. I just helped Tom take his jacket off, but let's get started today and talk about some branding. And I'm super excited to be here. So if we want to start my slides, we can actually get going right into it. So just in case you're wondering who I am, I'm Coach Emily Terrell. If you do have questions for me outside of here, check out my Instagram. I've got the QR code right there for you to reach out to me. And if you have any questions, I answer all of the time. So definitely be sure to do that. And for any of you that are going to be at Elite Retreat, I'll be there as well, talking in a couple breakout sessions. So let's get right into it. And let's talk about what makes a great brand. And believe it or not, guess what? It's not your logo and it's not your website. I know that when real estate agents that get into this business, they immediately think they need to start working on a brand and start working on a website, because that's something for them to do. But in reality, we need to do a little bit more than that to create a brand. And so we're going to talk about what a brand is actually made of. So we've got a couple different things. First thing is understanding your target audience, right? Making sure that we're actually reaching out to the right audience. In addition to that, you're going to have your unique value proposition. I like to also say this is why should someone hire you as a real estate agent as opposed to anyone else? In addition to that, we need to be consistent with the look, with the content we put out, with the amount of content, just being consistent and staying on point. We also need to tailor that content. Remember, we have different audiences on different channels. So we need to make sure that we're tailoring that content to reach the people on the specific channels. In addition to that, they need to have access. They need to have access to you. You want to leverage all of your content. And then last, we don't want to waste the reviews. You get them, you work really hard for them. Let's not waste them. Now, unfortunately, we only have 25 minutes. I can't go through all of these, but I am going to go over some really cool tips that you can cover some of these items. So the first thing that I do want to talk to you guys about is making sure that you understand your target audience. Now, my favorite example to do that is by explaining this. And if you're not familiar with this company, it's Stanley Cup. Now, Stanley Cup learned a couple of years ago that if they changed their target audience, they would change their company completely. They'd go from $73 million to $775 million in revenue in like 5 years. Now, how did they do that? They actually just changed who they targeted. And why is that important? Because this is men. The slide that's up there. Men buy one. If it breaks in 15 years, they may buy another one, right? Whereas this is women. Women have 10. Women buy them as gifts. My mother-in-law has 10 at her house because she likes to vary them based on the outfit she wears to work out. She has one at my house and one at her daughter's house so she doesn't have to travel with them. Now, as we know, when it comes to sales, it's significantly cheaper to have repeat customers than it is to get new ones. So Stanley Cup took this to heart. And really, it was by accident. But what's an amazing example that we have right now of branding and how someone's brand was able to catapult and change an entire business, right? Taylor Swift, of course. So they did some research studies on it, and I'm probably messing up the figures a little bit, but essentially Taylor, if they were to look at the impact that her brand made upon the NFL, it's something like $335.1 million marketing package. Could you imagine having that much of a brand where you sit in a chair for 13 football games and you completely change the face of an entire institution, right? Imagine having that type of brand. It's brought women, it's brought daughters, it's brought an entire culture to the NFL that they didn't previously have access to. And they did it by capitalizing on somebody in the stands. So imagine if we were able to create a brand or a following. I mean, that'd be great if it was at Taylor's level, but create a brand or a following within our community. So how can we do that? How can we determine if the content that we're putting out is actually reaching the target audience we mean to? Well, of course, we can use AI, right? So, but first, before we do that, I do want to actually give y'all an example of what that looks like as far as real estate agents. Now, this is one of my coaching clients. Her name is Jenna. I love Jenna. She's an amazing agent out of Austin, Texas. Now, the important thing about Jenna is that for a very long time, she made content that was geared towards real estate agents. She did planking videos. She did funny content. The problem with her content and the funny content is that, have y'all ever seen Tom's slide where he shows your lead sources and it's a pie chart and like 90% of it's one lead source? And he always says when he does it, he's like, don't have your pie chart look like this. It needs to be more balanced. Well, unfortunately, that's what this was doing. It was making her pie chart be almost exclusively agent referrals. So we needed to diversify because in reality, she wanted to work in downtown Austin in luxury condos. So we changed her content. Now, this content, you know what? It's not as flashy, doesn't get as many views, but guess what? That reel got her a $1.6 million condo buyer. Now she's actually working towards the buyers and sellers that she wants to work with by changing the content and changing the brand that she was putting out. And that's done by understanding the audience that you have on social media. So how do we do that? So you're going to use a prompt like this. Now, if you're asking, yes, you're going to get all these slides. So you can write it down, you can take a picture, or you can just wait. But you're going to do a prompt like this. Now, if you're a Tom Ferry coaching client, Tom.ai is an amazing place to do this. If you're not, ChatGPT works. But what you're going to do is you're going to put this prompt in. At the same time, you're going to go to Instagram and you're going to copy all of the content that you've put in. If you have your video scripts, those are amazing to put in there. But if not, you put the captions, descriptions, everything. You just put it into a notepad and then just paste it right in. Doesn't need to be formatted or anything. Just paste it right into ChatGPT and ask it to analyze. And what that's going to do, it's going to be a third-party source that filters through all of that and gives you an analysis. And you're going to get a response something like this. Now, this is my coaching client, Jason. He's in Denver, Colorado. Now, keep that in mind as I read what ChatGPT, actually, I think I used Tom.ai, what they said his target audience was. It's first-time homebuyers, real estate market enthusiasts, industry professionals, Denver area residents, or those interested in Denver real estate, educated or informed buyers or sellers, tech savvy or social media engaged individuals. So why is that important? Because if I am a real estate agent selling homes in Denver, Colorado, that's almost the perfect audience to look at. That's almost the perfect group of people that I want following me. It's people who want to buy houses or sell houses in Denver where I work. And guess what? It also looks at those who are interested in Denver real estate. So if they're from somewhere else and they're moving to Denver, guess what? We've got them covered too. Now, where can you go from here? Because remember, I talked about the first thing was your understanding your audience, but then also your unique value proposition, right? What makes you special? Why should we hire you? Well, let's look at it. So within that same thread, you could continue on and looking at the content you're already putting up, and you can ask Tom.ai or ChatGPT, so based on this content, what would you say my unique value proposition is? You could even take it and go in a little bit further and just ask it to shorten it as a slogan. I'm not sure if every person here remembers, but a couple of years ago within the organization, because remember, we have a lot of R&D, we rip off and duplicate, we thought share, right? We had a hashtag and it was, if I remember correctly, who you hire matters. It was really popular for a while. Now, what's great about that hashtag is it really was more towards a unique value proposition. It was the slogan that went with the value proposition. So we want to make sure that we're actually taking what our unique value proposition is and encompassing it into a slogan. Now, do you think once you create this, you can take that entire content and go all the way through all of your social media? Absolutely. Because, for example, here in speaking, we pick one type of topic, maybe something like done is better than perfect, and we take it through the entire speech to help bring that idea to life. Tom is excellent at it. Jimmy Mackin, also amazing at it. But so we went past that. We've looked at our Logan. Do you think that if you're not getting the answers that you want because the content that you're putting out does not match what you want to have as unique value proposition, you can go through ChatGPT and just have a conversation with it, or Tom.ai, and just have a conversation and find out, why should someone hire you over anyone else, to help you determine what your unique value proposition is. Because once you can answer that, guess what? We can take that content anywhere and we can create that brand as to why you are the person to go to, why it's almost irresponsible to hire anyone else. Right? So next, we need to create a consistent look. Now, this one's a lot of fun for me. Now, again, keep in mind, we've got slides. And if you're coming to Elite Retreat, I actually go really hard into this one on a breakout session. So be sure to look for that. But let's talk about submagic.co, because part of creating a consistent look, again, people think brand always, but it's more than that. So what if we created a consistent look with our videos? For example, submagic.co. Within Submagic, you can actually go in and pick for example, your specific type of font, the specific colors. And this way, all of your videos have the same type of look and feel to them, right? In addition to that, we can look at B-rolls. Because here's the problem. Let's say, and I'm guilty of this. If you were to see my first Instagram reels, you would fully understand where I'm coming from on this. But I would always tell people in my listing appointment, I'd be like, oh, I do professional videos. They're amazing. The problem is you would then go to my Instagram and it was not professional. It was shot off the hip. It didn't have any B-roll. It didn't have any captions. There wasn't movement. It really looked unprofessional. So I needed to create a way and find a tool that I could use easier. Now, yes, of course, I understand that you can hire editors. You can do all of that. But I needed something that I could do at 2:00 in the morning or whenever the inspiration struck me, right? So I found Submagic because it is AI generated and it does allow you to use either royalty-free B-rolls or your own B-rolls. But the big thing is it creates that consistent look, not only with the captions, but the video itself as well. So we want to do that. Now, in addition to videos, there are other places where you need to be consistent with the look and the feel, right? So where else can we use to make our brands easier? Now, of course, I'm not talking about your website or your logo because those are typically the first place that people start. What about your thumbnails? Do you think that that would be great to create the same thumbnails? Absolutely. Having that consistent look. Now, thumbnails on Instagram. We've got also YouTube as well. Having that consistent look and that brand across all platforms, right? In addition to that, you can use Canva templates. So if you're posting specific looks, if you're creating documents, creating that template within Canva to where everything matches is a great way as well. And then in addition to this, and I know that Jason actually talked about this earlier, which if you haven't gotten a chance to actually check out his AI class, I got an opportunity to go and do it as a beta test and it was amazing. But what if we trained a ChatGPT to have a specific voice, right? As you know, he probably mentioned that you can actually create your own GPT and you can train it to have a voice like you. So what if we work through and we trained a ChatGPT to give the same type of content? Maybe it's with listing descriptions, right? You want to have a similar feel to all of your listing descriptions, or more importantly, probably your scripts, your video scripts. So they always look and feel and sound like you. I'm a little bit of, I like to hashtag hot mess. Right? So I want my scripts to almost have a little bit of a looser quality. So I work within ChatGPT to get that feel. And if you're training ChatGPT to do this, you're not having to give it instructions every single time. You've already done that once and you're just re-asking the questions over and over again. But this way it looks like you and it sounds like you and you'll have that voice that's actually you, right? Now, let's talk about access, right? Do we think it's important that our clients have access to us? Absolutely, right? A perfect example of this is the first slide that I popped up was me. And when I popped that slide up, I told you to send me questions on Instagram. And I did that because it provides you with access. Instead of just having a brand, it actually provided you with interaction that you could reach out to me and communicate with me. So let's talk about some different ways that you can do access, and then I'll show you an example, right? So do you have a DM strategy? Do you work through and actually DM past clients or maybe people who are following you? Maybe you find them on open house, they came from an open house and you actually friend them on social media and you start DMing them instead of just waiting for them to message you. Are you actually taking the time to communicate? In addition to that, are we doing polls? This is a great way to see which of your followers are actually interacting with you so that you can either prioritize them or you can prioritize others who are not. But it's a great way for people to actually interact with your content. Now, if you need ideas for polls, guess what? Remember we trained a ChatGPT to sound like us? Do we think we could use that GPT to go in and figure out ways and different questions that you can ask? Absolutely. In addition to that, doing social media lives. So some of my coaching clients have actually adopted the strategy of every Sunday early evening, they go and do Facebook Lives. And they do that because what they found is when analyzing their audiences is they actually found that most of their past clients were actually on Facebook. So they started doing a live every Sunday evening. And what they're finding is the more they do that, the more interaction they're receiving from their past clients. And what's great is they're able to provide, updates, what's going on in the market, maybe news reactions, but really just have a conversation with people that everybody else can interact with them. They're providing access, very similar to what this webinar right here is doing. This webinar all day has provided access to Tom, to Jimmy Mackin, Alicia Essig, Jeremy Davis, right? It's Jason Pantana, forgot about him. But it's providing access to a group of people that you may not have known or interacted with previously. In addition to that, webinars, which we're doing right now, but we are doing the webinars, but doing webinars for buyers and sellers within your social media. Now, oftentimes I'll say this, people tell me, oh, I don't want to do it. What if nobody shows up? Here's the thing. If you do the webinar, in my opinion, the win is that you advertised, right? You advertised. You told people that you were going to do this. You showed the work, right? And sometimes that's almost more important than people actually showing up to your webinar. And an example of this is my cousin Jennifer. She's my biggest fan when it comes to social media, but she never ever comments. What happens is when I see her in person every single time, she always comes up to me and she'll ask me specific question of something that I did on social media. And that's important because it means she's watching and she's seeing what's happening. She just doesn't interact. And that's what happens with your followers as well. Now, in addition to that, we can do Ask Me Anythings. These are great because it allows, you're inviting people in to give that and ask any questions. But the big thing about this entire list is that you actually have to take the time to provide access to the people following you. And it doesn't matter how many followers you have. You're still providing that access because part of your brand is you, right? All of that list I told you that was your brand, guess what? That was all you. Right? So you need to make sure that people are having access to you and being able to see what your unique value proposition is by answering questions. Especially if you tell people when you go to a listing appointment that you're available, that you can answer questions. Well, shouldn't you also show that by doing it? And the easiest way to do that is on social media. So, and then collaborations. I'm going to show you guys an example of collaborations. When we get to these, they're a lot of fun and they can actually provide you with a ton of different value. So let's take a look. We've got 3 different examples of collaboration. Now, these are specifically on social media, but they're a great example. So I'm going to do the first one there. I'm going to do it last, but we'll start all the way to the right. All the way to the right, this is where one of my clients, she just simply reacted to a reel that was happening, right? So what that was able to do is it actually provided, a way for her to provide her opinion, but also kind of gain some of the followers and people that are seeing there. In her case, it was Glenda Baker, right? And in the middle one, this is one of my clients, Samuel. He actually was talking about content that somebody else put up of the downtown Chicago area. He works in downtown Chicago. So for him, it was a great idea to show that he is supportive of other Instagram users and other people putting up the content of an area that he's passionate about. And then last but not least, all the way on the left, this is one of my favorites. This is my client, Jake. Now, what Jake does is he is in a place called Happy Valley, Oregon. Now, it's in the Portland area, but he specifically farms Happy Valley. So what he has started doing, just like Jason recommends, he started providing, being that content mayor. And so he'll go around to different restaurants and local shops and provide content. The great things that happen is, oh, hey, David. The great thing that happens is whenever he does the content, when he does the content, he gets reshared. So what happens? He gets reshared, and now he's part of not only his followers seeing it, but in this case, Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, their followers are also seeing Jake as well. So it's really important to just provide that additional content that you're doing for both places and doing the collaboration when you're doing reels. Now, in addition to that, and I don't think I have the slide on there, but I do have a few minutes and Tom hasn't kicked me off yet. So the last thing I want to show you is leverage. My favorite tool, and I don't have a slide for it, but my absolute favorite tool for leverage is going to be Loomly, because you're able to take one piece of content and leverage it out to all the different locations. Now it's Loomly. So when you're looking at something like Loomly, it is a great tool because you're able to take, like I said, that one content and spread it out everywhere. So I hope you guys got a lot of content today. If you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram. Remember, we got to provide access as part of our brand.
The team just walked over and said if I should take off your jacket, and I thought that would be entirely appropriate. Inappropriate. Get out of here.
I don't have sleeves.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Emily